Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 132 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Today I'm upgrading our cowhands hut. It looks like that's a work in progress. Nice. This is level 4 being upgraded to. We are upgrading to level 4 cowhand. Still waiting for a villager increase so that we can actually hire a cowhand. Looks like we've got a little bit of a ways to go over here. If we come in and peek at our research, 2 out of 3 in progress. Combat, I think I'm working on trick shot. That's almost done. And then civilian has a good hour and a half left on it for Hamlet. So I think what I'm going to do is not research anything else. I'm a little fuzzy on, if we have 3 research slots, if I'm only doing 1, if it moves 3 times faster. I don't know. But I'm in the hopes that it will, and also by virtue of the fact that there's not a whole lot of super exciting research left to get. Like, there's some cool stuff, but it's like, 5% increase here, 10% increase there. Like, alright, that's cool, but like, not urgent. By virtue of those 2 facts, I will be just, letting the Hamlet research go ahead and increase. So that's what's going on right here in the village. That's it. I've got the cowhands hut being upgraded, which looks like it's almost done to be in level 4. It required a decent amount of stuff, but nothing too terrible. The village is mostly self-sufficient at this point. I really feel like it's getting pretty good. The villagers, the defense, all that stuff, it's doing pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. So what I'm going to do is let the cowhands hut go and get finished. Hopefully that makes the restaurateur a little less grumpy about the food that she's serving. Now, to be fair, the Mine Colonies dev did message me and said, what did he say? He said, the food complaint you had in today's episode was fixed in the latest version, and we also added a graveyard to the mod. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of cool. So there's a new building coming. But I think the hey, I want better food options thing is a bug that's now fixed. I took out of her inventory the pufferfish, and it looks like she's less grumpy. I don't see her complaining no more. She was complaining earlier. I took the pufferfish out of her inventory. She's not grumpy anymore. So I think the pufferfish being in her inventory is what was causing that my food isn't good enough complaint. Oh, look at this. This house is really getting built up. And it will be better now that I took it out of her inventory, but also it's a bug that was fixed in the next version of the mod. So all good things to note. Now, last episode, we played with Boots a little bit, got a whole bunch of mob drops, which, speaking of, we've got 184 beef. Let's pop home. I want to go check in on our fusion plant. What was the state of our fusion situation? How did we leave that thing? Is this thing just running? I think I just left him running. Look at that. All right, cool. And fusioning. Look at that. Lots of power. Lots of power happening. Lots of tritium, lots of deuterium. Does that mean my basement thingy is filled up? Oh, look at that. It is. 1.8 trillion RF. That's a lot of RF. Just saying. Just saying that's a lot of RF. What else? What else? I'm going to say that's pretty cool. What I wanted to do today was play a little bit, I think, with Woot. You know what I wanted to do before I checked into that? I just want to peek at our tritium is nice and full and our deuterium is nice and full. The fact that these 2 buffer tanks are completely full and the pipes to them look pretty full as well leads me to believe that we're in pretty good shape in terms of how much tritium and deuterium we're producing. So I'm just going to leave that as is. Mechanism fusion reactors are pretty powerful. Because again, they just a little bit of infrastructure and it's literally just water. It's literally just water and infrastructure. And you've got, how much RF a tick are we making here? And this is on the low end. But I mean, I think it's because it's a lot. I forget how much we were making, but it's a lot. When you add up both, it's a lot of RF, right? It's 300,000 here. Wasn't it 1.1 million? So it's like 1.5 million RF a tick for water. It's a little good. It's a little good. Anyway, today's episode was going to be about Woot, and we're going to check that out right about now. So I'm going to make the Woot book, and I don't know what's changed with Woot in 1.16. I don't know if it's just the same as it has been in the past. I don't know if it's quite a bit different. I guess we will find out. We'll do a little control click in there so it makes a book for me. Thank you, Refined Storage. You're the bomb. All right, Woot edition, Woot second edition guide. A guide to the big bad magic multi-block mob factory like Marmite. You will either love it or hate it. You choose. All right, that seems cool. So there's basics, factory components, factory exotics, machines, perks, and tools. Sweet. And then there's the index entry. So this book is not the kind that unlocks as you progress through it, which is cool, which is fine. You know, both, like I said, have their fit, right? I think it's pretty cool. All right. So I'm gonna. Last time I flipped through a book, people were not loving. Wow, look how many blocks there are. There's a lot of things here. People were not loving Enochian Key, huh? Well, that's neat. What are the exotics for? I'm gonna find out. A couple of different dye liquefier, enchant liquefier, fluid vat, injection press. Interesting. Perks. Oh my. There's a lot here. There's a lot to look at. Tools, more than one? Yeah, hammer, the intern layout guide, and D's Oracle. All right, let me get to reading, and we'll be right back. So this is interesting. The factories are no longer fueled by RF power. They're fueled by a liquid called Conatus fluid, which is stored in the Conatus cell. There is a fluid vat block that will make this fluid, Conatus fluid, from many different resources. You can use liquid enchant, which basically you can melt down enchanted books. Seems interesting. With magma or endstone, or what seems to be the more straightforward approach. There's these essences that drop with a particular upgrade in the thing that I haven't figured out yet. But the most simple way to make this looks like redstone with purge fluid. It's 1-to-1, okay, so 1,000, 1,000. And then purge fluid comes from blaze rods or bones or rotten flesh or ender pearls. Ender pearls makes the most of it. Blaze rod's second most, flesh and skeleton. Okay, yeah, so ender pearls is the best way to get this with water in the fluid vat. So that's interesting. All right, still reading through just to understand the model a little bit. That's interesting. Some mobs require ingredients to drop their loot, and these must be provided in chests and tanks. Huh. So certain mobs, you have to not only give it the Conatus fluid, but you also have to include other ingredients. Interesting. All right. All right, so I think I've got the gist of how this stuff works. So first off, I'm going to need some Stygian iron dust smelted up in our smelting factory to make the hammer. Boom. Which can be used to make the Stygian armor dust a little bit more efficiently. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to teach that recipe here and here. And we'll add you to the thing, and then we'll add you to the thing. And that should be cool beans. So now here's my question. Stygian. So if I ask for like 10 of you, are you going to complain that you don't have enough hammer? Yeah, you are. I wish there was a neat way that I could say like, hey, this hammer doesn't get used up, Mr. Recipe Dude. Now, a tricky way to accomplish this. I could come up with a clever way to do this if I wanted to. What I could do is I could turn you into a processing recipe. Yes. Yeah, so we could say 2 netherrack and an iron. Two netherrack and an iron. And what was the other one? A soul sand. We'll make 3 Stygian armor dust. Like this. And then if we wanted to be extra clever, we could processing mode that, right? And we could put you on an RF Tools crafter. How does that sound? Crafter tier 1 actually is what I want. Yeah, you. So crafter tier 1, not crafting station. That's RF Tools control. I want RF Tools utility, crafter tier 1. Okay. Well, this might be clever. This might be clever. Where, pray tell, could I throw this random machine that really doesn't belong anywhere exactly? I mean, there's already a little bit of power right here. Doesn't that look nice? I feel like that looks nice. Yeah, new recipe. So now if I said, hey, this is your recipe, all items in the input slots will be consumed. Result will go to the crafting output buffer. Extra C, result of the crafting operation will go to the output buffer, but remaining items like buckets will stay in the input. That's what we want. That's what we want. Cool. And then we get a crafter here. That should be cool beans. I mean, realistically, we don't need an iron crafter. We could just use a regular old crafter. No reason to get the expensive one. Come on, buddy. There you go. Now you're a pal. I'm just going to do that because I don't know what the deal is with this whole thing. Alright. That sound cool? Actually, was that the source block? No, it wasn't. Okay, so I have no idea how this whole thing works. But whatever. So this goes here. Now we'll get our yeah hammer. We'll keep it in there, right? So now if we ask for Stygian dust, say 10, we're going to want this pattern in here. We're going to want to remove wherever this pattern was. I always forget if it's crafted by itself or shift right click it. But now what it's going to say is we do what now? Oh, you don't have a cable connection. Boop. Now you can make Stygian dust times 10. It'll just put the resources in there, and then it'll boop 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 that. Cool. And then what we could do is we could just tap in an importer of some kind. And that should be cool. Easy peasy? Yeah, I like that. Works for me. Nice. Alright, so that's cool. Now we're also going to want the intern. If you guys have played the previous version of Woot, you'll remember the intern is basically designed to auto-craft the multi-blocks for you. Will work for exposure. I love it. I love it. Will work for exposure. That's awesome. So you shift right-click to choose what tier of factory you want to make. Tier 1 being the lowest, Tier 5 being the highest, obviously. And then I guess when you mouse over it here, cool. Wasn't it just a moment ago showing me all the resources we need? Use on the factory heart to form, build, or validate a factory. Sneak right-click to change mode. Place controllers and cells manually. Validate an exemptus factory. Sweet. There we go. Okay. So like a second ago, it wasn't showing me that. But now it is again. Okay, cool. I don't know why, for some reason, it wasn't a minute ago showing me. Oh, look, now it's going through. Validate. Oh, build and then validate. Got it. Okay, so one mode is build. Another mode is validate. And when it's in build mode, it shows you the resources you need. So if we want to build a Tier 1 factory, these are the resources we need. Okay, cool. I got it. Makes sense. Cool. Now, one thing we're going to need to note from the guide here, factory components. Let's see. We'll talk about exotics and perks in a minute, but one thing, scale the summit. To create higher tier versions of the Woot factory, you need to use essence to create the blocks. These essence are generated by the factory when this perk is installed. Each level of this perk defines a number of rolls for the essence generation and a drop chance for each of the essence types. The factory tier determines what the chances are to drop each essence type. So, basically there's 3 tiers, and there's 3 resources. Celadon, Ceruleum, and Byzantium. And I want to screenshot that, because that's basically what's important to note. Celadon, Cerulean, and Byzantium. And these things will be required, I assume, for different tiers, right? So you, Amaranth, Amber, Tier Tier 3, Amaranth, Amber, Celadon, and Factory Connector. Tier 4, Amaranth, Amber, Celadon, and Cerulean, right? And Tier 5 needs Byzantium. Okay, so Tiers 3, 4, and 5 need these special materials that you could only get from lower tier Woot factories. So the gist of what I'm getting is you need to run a level 2 or a level 1 Woot factory to produce resources using this upgrade in it. Those resources are used to craft the blocks for the level 3, 4, and 5. Got it? Cool. Okay, yes, that makes sense. I like it. Okay, so that's the gist. So we're going to need to build a level 2 Woot factory so that we can be prepared for that. So these are the resources we're going to need in order to make the level 2 Woot factory. Okay, so let's get to work. I'm going to start with figuring out how to make some of these blocks because I have no idea. So for Woot here, we're going to need the factory, we're going to need the Amaranth block. Okay. And that is made with some kind of smooth stone, right? I'm assuming smooth stone is the main resource here. Yeah. Okay. And then we're also going to need amber block. And I think I might just hang on to my smooth stone. Okay. And then we're going to need factory connectors. That's cool. It's an amaranth block with redstone. Okay, fair enough. Then we're going to need a primary base. I don't know any of these guys. And that's, again, smooth stone. We need one of those. We need some secondary base. And we got to figure out how these die plates are made, because that's a thing I'm probably going to have to automate soon. I got to imagine I'm going to have to do that. 4 perk slots. Good times. Now, in fairness, I wouldn't have to, you know, I could just leave the stuff that's in there, but it doesn't matter. We're going to want the heart. I think that's like the brains of the operation. Now, what kind of heads do I have? We've got some Enderman heads. How about skulls? We have a healthy amount of wither skeleton skulls, believe it or not, because that's like the only thing we've automated at this point. So I feel like, yeah. I feel like that's your best bet, is we should use, surprisingly, wither skeleton skulls is the answer here, right? But that's going to make the heart, which I think is like the main brains of the operation. Cool. Then we're going to need some Theoricus caps. No idea what these do. Theoricus caps, huh? Well, I guess it's just part of the process. That's amber or amaranth, and that is cool. Ingredient exporter. Ingredient importer, I'm sorry. Ingredient importer. Cool. And this is where you import your ingredients, because remember, some mobs require ingredients to spawn the mob. I wonder if that is listed anywhere. I didn't see that. I didn't see anywhere. I might have missed it, but I didn't see anywhere where it said, "Hey, if you want to spawn skeletons, you need to supply something," right? So we'll figure it out. Loot exporter is another block type for the multi-block. And then mob controllers. I believe this is what tells you. Ooh, this is an Stygian anvil. So we're going to have to see if that's automatable. Is the Stygian anvil automatable? I don't know that I saw a Stygian anvil in here. Huh. Interesting. It doesn't have a... it may not be automatable, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then the final item that we're going to need, at least for this, is a cell. Basic Kanata cell, Advanced Kanata, Premium, and Ultimate. Neat. We'll start with Basic, and then we'll go from there. I'm assuming regular glass can go into this. Cool. Okay, that works for me. All right, so we have a bunch of patterns that we just learned. And these are all the multi-block components, basically. Now, there's one thing that we didn't learn how to make, which is going to be important to us. And that's all these, well, not the Stygian armor plates. That'll be fine, I'm sure. But these different die plates. So die plates are made in the injection press with a die casing and some pure dye fluid, which is made in the dye liquefier. And it looks like he put something in there, and you'll get different color. That's interesting. So there's 4 different colors of dye? Is that what it is? So I'm going to need to go through and figure out which different colors. I'm going to want some kind of combination of these so that we have the appropriate colors. Okay. Seems cool. So we're going to need a dye liquefier and an injection press. So let's make a couple of these and see how they work. So I wouldn't mind having automated. But like a normal chest, please. Don't be all fancy. And then how do we get Stygian armor? That would be this recipe. So that also needs a Yay hammer? Yeah, let's go teach that to the downstairs dude. Does that sound like a plan? So what we'll say is plate die, which needs on a Stygian anvil. So let's get one of those. Okay, we should get our Stygian anvil. We'll start that. Cool. And we'll take our other Yay hammer. And then this thing is going to need a plate die. Now I'm assuming the plate die, is this going to get used up? Stygian anvil, stone slab, obsidian. All right, so I'm not sure about that. Does this have a UI of some kind? Place base item first. Anvil must be sitting on a magma block. Ah. Can magma blocks go next to water? I have no idea. I guess so. Things that I learned today. So stone first or obsidian first? Stone first. Okay. A plate by any other name. Now here's the question is, will you use up the plate die when I do this? No. Good. Good. So here's what we're going to do. You ready? This is going to be really simple then. All we need to do is make a pattern that's going to say processing mode Stygian iron ingot turns into Stygian armor plate. Okay. We bring that down here. Boom. And then recipe 2 will also be externally crafting. And you're going to be this. Extra C, apply. Cool. So now, if I need 5 of these, they'll show up in here. And boom. How cool is that? All right? Easy peasy. A little bit of tricky automation, right? So that's a vanilla crafting recipe, and by vanilla crafting recipe, obviously, I mean it's made in a vanilla crafting table, right? So it's a regular recipe, right? Not a processing recipe. But by doing it in the machine down there, you kind of trick it and make it, so that it behaves like a processing recipe, and we don't get confused with needing multiple yeah hammers and multiple patterns. Because if we tried to do this in the normal thing, it would be like, I need 10 yeah hammers to do this 10 times all at once. We're doing it in that RF Tools one, it solves that problem. Cool, right? Is that a neat trick? Hope so. There you go, a little trickery. So injection press, you're going to need you. So need these two machines, right? Injection press and dye liquefier. Dye liquefier. You're going to need some kind of dye. Well, that's cool. Bone meal counts as a dye. All right. Yeah. A freedom of the press and a tight squeeze. Sweet. Now, we're going to want this machinery automated somewhere. I haven't quite figured out where. I'm assuming they need RF. I'm going to move my rat upgrade guy. As much as he's been lovely, I haven't been working with him too much. None of these are automated, right? Metallurgic infuser. Yeah, I don't know that I need you, pray tell. At least not right now. Nor the modification station recently. The nutritional liquefier might also go. Okay, so we're going to put these guys away for the time being. Okay, and then we can do our injection press and our dye liquefiers. Cool? All right, look at this. This is interesting. So that does that. Now, will you... How does the injection press get pure dye fluid? So he also needs liquid in... Okay. Pure dye fluid. Let's see if there's something about that in the book. I feel like I read something about that. Convert them into red, yellow, blue, and white fluids. These are then combined into pure dye, which can be used to create dye casings or any color in the injection press. Items can be inserted from any side. Pure dye can be extracted from any side. The dye liquefier will automatically output to an adjacent fluid handler. All right. And I'm hoping that the injection press is a fluid handler. Injects fluids into items. It can be used with pure dye to create dye plates. It can be used with liquid enchant to create factory upgrade plates and enchanted books. Fluids can be inserted from any side. So I'm going to assume and hope. So I think the gist is that it'll automatically make the dye. So let's figure out what recipes we can get here that would be cool. Because whatever we do, we want to have an equal amount of colors going on, right? Now, luckily, the numbers all look pretty good, but we're going to have to come up with the right combination of things, right? So I'm going to flip through here for a minute and figure out what that right combination of things would be. And then we'll be right back. It would be great if there was like one die that had like the perfect number of everything, but I got to imagine that's not going to be the case, right? There's no way that's going to be the case. So what is the case, though, is that specific things are 72 millibuckets of... It looks like it always adds up to 72, right? So things like, for example, white dye is 72 white. And things like blue dye are 72 blue. Okay? And dandelions are 72 yellow. And poppies are 72 red. Haha, look what I've got down here. So if I did you, oh my. So now you've got 72 red. And then we did you, you'd have 72 yellow. If I did you, you'd have 72 white. You're slow, by the way. Just want you to know that, dye liquefier. I mean, you're not fast. I mean, you're not that slow. And now look, everything's 0. And I assume, haha, pure dye fluid. Okay. Okay. I got you. I got you. So let's throw a hopper on this bad boy. Now, if we really needed to be precise with our crafting, we could. But I feel like the more intelligent way to go about this is just to throw like half a stack of each in here, let it all build up, and then call it a day. right? That seems like a good plan to me. So eventually, oh, look at that little thingy shows up there. That's cool. That's cool. All right, I like this thing. It's different. It's different, right? It's a different mechanic because you need to balance your dies, right? Like you can't just say like put this item in and this item comes out. You have to be very smart about what items go in what way. So I kind of like that. It's different, and I like different. When you've been playing modded Minecraft for over 10 years, things that are different than you've seen before are kind of cool. All right, so what I think I'm going to do here is wrap up the episode because we're about at that wrapping up point. But I do real quick before we want to wrap up, pop over to the colony and see how our research is coming along, guys. Civilian research has about another hour left. So maybe by the end of next episode, we'll be ready for this. But for now, alas, it is the old wrapping up point for the episode. So we've got a nice introduction to Woot here. We're getting the basics and the preparation to get it up and running. Next episode, we'll come back. We'll continue exploring automation aspects. So obviously, we're going to need to get some casings here, and we're going to have to figure out how to automate this in an intelligible way. Because I don't know if, like, will the casing get filled up with the dye and then be done? I'm guessing that might be the case. And if it is, then what we might want to do is have more recipes down here. This guy might need to get upgraded to the higher tiers. So I think I'm going to prepare that now. I believe, and I really hope, that he's going to remember his recipes when I do this. I'm pretty sure he does, though. If not, it's not the end of the world. He does! Hooray! So check it out, right? So what we're going to wind up having to craft with this whole getup here is the following, right? Like, we're going to eventually have to turn magenta dye casings into magenta dye plates, and purple dye casings into purple dye plates, and black dye casings into black dye plates, and yada, 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 yada. However, in order to get these casings, we're going to need to combine a dye casing with a dye plate of a colored dye, and that'll make your dye casings. Okay, so that pattern is going to need to be made in here in much the same way that our Stygian iron plates are. So we're just going to need more recipe slots for that. Cool? All right, wrapping up point for the episode. Direwolf 20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll come back next time and continue to further automate Woot and all the components that are needed for it. So I can get rid of all you guys because you're done now, right? And you're automated, and you're done, and you're done, and you're automated, and okay, cool. All right, take it easy, guys.